You are looking at a door that has not been opened in 40 years, and they say, if you stay here until midnight, the walls start talking back. Most people who come to this old hospital run away before the sun even sets because the sounds from the hallways are not human. I am standing right outside the Blackwood Manor, which was built in 1922 and abandoned in the middle of a cold winter night in 1985. I have nothing but a flashlight and a sleeping bag to help me survive the next 12 hours inside this rotting building. My goal is to stay until the sun comes up, but the locals told me that the whispers get louder the longer you stay inside. Legend says that the last doctor who worked here left his keys in the door and never looked back because he heard his own name called from an empty room. I want to know if these stories are just legends or if there is something actually living in the shadows of these crumbling walls. To make this even harder, I am not using any fancy ghost hunting gear because I want to experience this exactly how a normal person would. The air out here is freezing, but the air inside that open doorway feels even colder, like the building itself is breathing out ice. We are going inside now, and once that door closes behind me, I am not coming out until 6 in the morning. The first thing you notice when you step inside is the smell of wet dust and old paper that has been rotting for decades. My flashlight beam is cutting through the darkness, but it feels like the blackness is pushing back against the light. This floor is covered in broken glass and old medical records from 1974 that list patients who were never sent home. Every time I take a step, the floorboards groan under my feet like the house is complaining that I am walking on its skin. I am heading toward the main lobby where the ceiling has partially collapsed and let in the moonlight. It is strange how quiet it is right now, but the silence feels heavy like a weight sitting on my shoulders. They call this place the House of Whispers because the wind hits the broken windows in a way that sounds like people talking. I need to find a place to set up my camp for the night, but every room I look into feels like someone just left it. There is a chair in the middle of the hallway that looks like it was placed there just for me to see. If you look closely at the walls, you can see where the wallpaper is peeling off in long strips that look like reaching hands. I am going to check out the second floor, which was the wing where the most difficult patients were kept back in the 50s. The stairs are made of stone so they do not creak as much, but the echoes of my footsteps are bouncing off the walls. I just heard a soft thud coming from the end of the hall, and I know for a fact that I am the only person in this building. It sounded like a heavy book hitting the floor or maybe a door closing very slowly in a room with no wind. My heart is starting to beat a little faster now because that was not the sound of the wind or a bird. I'm walking toward the sound, and the air feels thicker here, like I'm walking through invisible spider webs. I found the room where the sound came from, and there is an old metal tray lying on the floor in the center of the room. There is no way that tray moved by itself unless the floor is tilted, but this level looks perfectly flat to me. I am going to sit down here for a minute and just listen to see if the whispers start now that the sun is completely gone. It is exactly 10 o'clock, and the temperature has dropped so much that I can see my own breath in the flashlight beam. When I hold my breath, I can hear a very faint scratching sound coming from inside the walls right behind my head. It sounds like fingernails on wood or maybe small animals moving through the insulation, but it is very rhythmic. I'm starting to feel like I am being watched from the corners of the room where my light does not reach. One of the stories about this place is that the patients used to talk to the walls when they were lonely. They believed the building was alive and that it would keep their secrets if they whispered them into the cracks in the plaster. I am moving to the basement now because that is where the old kitchen and the laundry rooms are located. The basement is completely pitch black and the walls are covered in black mold that looks like shadows moving in the light. I can hear water dripping somewhere in the distance and it sounds like a clock ticking away the seconds of my life. I just heard a voice that sounded like a woman saying the word wait, but it was so soft I almost missed it. I stopped moving and turned off my light to see if I could hear it again, but the silence was even scarier than the noise. When you are in total darkness, your brain starts to make up images to fill the gaps, and I keep seeing shapes in the dark. I am turning the light back on because I do not like the feeling of things moving just inches away from my face. It is now midnight, and this is when the locals say the whispers turn into actual conversations you can understand. I'm going back up to the main floor to set up my sleeping bag near the front exit just in case I need to leave fast. I am not a person who gets scared easily, but there is an energy in this hallway that feels very angry and very old. I just saw a shadow cross the hallway at the far end, and it was much taller than any person I have ever seen. I ran toward it to see if it was a reflection, but there are no mirrors in this part of the building anymore. Everything has been smashed or stolen by vandals over the years, except for the heavy metal bed frames. I am laying down now, but I do not think I will be able to close my eyes for even a single second tonight. Every time I start to drift off, I hear a sound like someone walking past my head on the hard floor. It is 2 in the morning and the wind has picked up outside, which is making the building moan and shriek. The whispers are constant now, and they sound like 100 people all talking at the same time in a very low voice. I can't make out the words, but it sounds like a busy coffee shop if you were standing outside on the street. This is the psychological part of the challenge where your mind tries to convince you to run out into the night. I am staying put because I promised I would survive the whole night, and I am not going to let the wind scare me. I just heard a clear laugh coming from the room right above me, and it sounded like a young child playing. There are no children for miles, and there is no way a kid is playing in an abandoned asylum at 3 in the morning. I'm going to go up there and check it out because if I don't, I will spend the rest of the night wondering. The air on the second floor is even colder now, and I can feel a draft coming from a room at the end of the hall. The door is swinging open and shut very slowly, and the hinges are making a sound like a person screaming. I walked into the room and found a single ball sitting in the middle of the floor that looks brand new. Everything else in this building is covered in decades of dust, but this red ball looks like it was placed there today. I am not touching it because that is how every horror movie starts, and I want to actually make it to breakfast. I am heading back down to my sleeping bag, and I am going to try to record the sounds on my phone. The whispers are getting louder, and it feels like they are coming from inside my own ears instead of the walls. It is 4 in the morning, and the darkest part of the night is finally here, but the sun will be up in 2 hours. I feel a cold hand on my shoulder, but when I turn around, there is absolutely nothing there but the empty air. My skin is crawling, and I have goosebumps all over my arms because I know I am not alone in this lobby. I'm going to sit with my back against the wall so nothing can get behind me for the rest of the night. The sounds are changing now, and it sounds like someone is crying in the room next to where I am sitting. It is a long, low sob that sounds full of sadness, and it makes me want to leave more than the scary noises did. I have to remind myself that these are just echoes of the past, and they cannot actually hurt me in the present. The building is starting to grow lighter as the very first hints of dawn are appearing in the sky outside. The whispers are fading away now, and the heavy feeling in the air is starting to lift as the sun comes up. I survived the night in the House of Whispers, and I learned that the mind is the scariest thing in an abandoned place. I'm packing up my gear and leaving this place behind because one night was more than enough for me. The sun is finally over the trees, and the building looks like just a normal old ruin again, instead of a monster. If you want to see me spend a night in an even scarier place, check out this next video on the screen.